If you're watching this live mailbag outside of a live show, on demand is what they call it, that means you couldn't get your questions answered. But that's okay. My Twitter DMs are open, and I would much rather have football questions than clear and obvious crypto nonsense and singles in your area crap that my DMs are filled with. So send me football questions on Twitter at What's Going Downing. First up, the Junkie in Theory. Do you think Jonathan Gannon will get fired at the end of the season? Where does he rank on the hot seat right now? Fantastic question. I think that the incident with Amari DiMercato probably puts him a little bit more on the hot seat than he would like to be. I think that how the rest of this year plays out is going to matter. I think that what the collapse against Tennessee has the potential, when we look back on it, to be that is when everything changed in Arizona. And that ended up getting the regime fired because they did not rally and they let that loss linger and they were unable to hold on. They blew a fourth quarter lead against Indy. The refs did not help. If that stuff continues, I do think there is a real chance he gets hired. I think the Cardinals' plan organizationally is to bring back Gannon. I do think Kyler Murray is also very much on the hot seat as well. I don't know if those two are tied together, though, at the hip. Eric Simmons, will John Harbaugh be a head coach again if the Ravens get rid of him? I think he definitely will. I think he absolutely will be. They're different types of coaches, even their backgrounds of what they do, like special teams versus OC are different. Reminds me a lot of Andy Reid. The Eagles were right to move on from Andy Reid. It was time. They couldn't quite win the big one necessarily in recent memory. The last couple years weren't as good. 500, 4-12. They were right to move on from Reid. But it was always a good coach still. Sometimes you do have to, especially in the NFL, shoot, man, you spend, Reid spent 14 years in Philadelphia. John Harbaugh has spent, I think it's near 14 years too, right? 18 years, in Baltimore. That's a hell of a long time. And he's had, I think, one losing season in that time, 2 losing seasons in that time frame. I think he gets a shot somewhere else if the Ravens move on. But you can at least talk me into okay, maybe it is time to make some changes there. Michael Scarn. I think I saw several A.J. Brown questions in there, which we can hit more if they're more team-specific. A.J. Brown trade coming. I don't think so. And I get that there's frustration in Philadelphia, which is weird because you're 6 games into the new year where you literally just won a Super Bowl. And I get Trader Howie loves to wheel and deal and make moves, but the monetary impact is not good. They do save $5 million this year, the pro-ish rated figure, if they were to trade him. But the real problem is they take on a $38 million dead cap charge next year, and his cap hit is 23. I don't see them eating $14 million in cap to not have A.J. Brown, unless they're getting a really good player back, which, Miguel's asking, should the Bills take a swing for A.J. Brown? Josh needs a true number one. I get it makes sense for Buffalo. I think that, although the whole point of the Bills' offense is spread the ball around, they make a big deal about that. I would wonder if Brown could have some diva tendencies there too. But, the Bills would trade a pick in a heartbeat, I think. I don't know if the Eagles want picks right now. So I don't think it makes sense in season. Maybe you could revisit after the deadline. But beyond that, I have some doubts on that front. Because that big old option bonus of $25.5 million already got picked up for A.J. Brown. That's a big issue for Philadelphia. So will the Eagles trade A.J. Brown in season this year? Y for yes, N for no. Go vote at the pinned comment of today's show. Dwayne Jackson, if Dallas is out of the playoffs, will they be sellers at the deadline? If so, which Cowboys will be dealt? Will Cowboys looking for players or picks in return? Probably picks if you're sellers. Teams want picks. They don't want the guy that's bad for you, and you don't want you can sell probably free agents. No one wants any of your defensive players, let's be honest there. I don't think anyone's clamoring for Mozzie Smith. But, I don't know, Jalen Tolbert, maybe one of your offensive line depth pieces. But Dallas might be a holder more than anything else. The Bright Wolf, the Falcons defense is legit and top 10. I was very impressed with how they played against the Bills. I thought they blitzed Josh Allen a lot. Seemed to have him with some complications, some issues there. They've done a really good job this year against the pass in particular, I feel like. EPA per play this year, they're top 10. Like right there with teams like Denver and Minnesota. I have been very impressed by what Atlanta has done on defense so far this season. Today's show is made possible by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on PrizePicks, where it is good to be right. It is the only app that offers stacks. Pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. My advice, stack Jayden Daniels passing yards, Jayden Daniels rushing yards, and Jayden Daniels touchdown this upcoming week for the Commanders. You can also follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app and copy the lineups in one click. Check out the new feed tab on PrizePicks. One of my PrizePicks lineups, I'm going to go A.J. Brown, less than receiving yards against that funky, exotic Vikings defense. Cam Scatterbu, the touchdown, half rushing or receiving against Denver. It's a good defense, though, to be fair. And then Sam Darnold, more than 21.5 passing yards against another good defense in Houston. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. From Angel, just the messenger. Chris Olave, trade to the Giants. I think that makes sense for New York. Like, if the Giants are going to make a trade, a young receiver is probably the most logical one. Plus, it helps develop Jackson Dart. I think that would benefit him. Short-term and long-term, you're getting benefits from that there. I do think the Saints would ask for a decent amount because whatever pick the Saints get back, they're then immediately using on a wide receiver. So I think it makes a lot of sense for the Giants. I do think that the Saints side of it is a little bit more complicated to vet and figure out how it all ends up playing out. But I do think Olave is a logical name to call about, at least. Daniel M. I have to think that if the Cowboys get a second chance to get back in the division, take advantage of the Eagles' downfall. If we beat the Commanders on Sunday, we go to 3-1. Yes, they do. Do you have faith in any of the defense? Like, honestly. Like, your offense, unless the defense suddenly gets good, why do you think that the Cowboys are going to be able to consistently win games? They're closer to last place in the NFC than they are to a playoff spot right now. Like, that's the reality of the playoff picture. I would caution some hype on that one. Stacy's mom, who has it going on, is Mike McDaniel, the next fired coach. It would make sense, right? I mean, like the vibes are so bad in Miami. You have your quarterback coming out after a narrow loss going, yeah, you know, players aren't going to the players-only meetings. Don't say that, man. That stays in-house. Like, I get you're frustrated, but like that's not supposed to come out to the media. That's one of those things that like you even deny if it gets leaked, essentially. Like it's a theme, though. There isn't discipline on that Dolphins team. There's a little bit too much, laissez-faire attitude. I think that stems from the head coach. He's a good offensive designer. I don't know if he's a good head coach, though. So I would not be surprised if he gets fired. Plus, the defense is right up there with Dallas for the league's worst. Who will be the next NFL head coach fired? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Who do you think is the next head coach to get canned? From Lore, why do the Niners offensive linemen struggle and don't open rushing lanes for the running backs? Skill issue. Honestly, that's all it is. The scheme is good. The talent, honestly, just is not good enough. Trent Williams is awesome, but he's getting up there in age. Like, I like Dominique Puny. He's a third-round pick. Okay. Colton McKivitz, I don't love. The interior of that line right now, and I know that they're banged up. I understand how decimated by injuries they are. Ben Birch and Spencer Burford have all gotten hurt at various points this year. They're on IR. But, like, the starting offensive line is, like, Colby Connor and Jake Brendel. Like, go get some good players in there. Like, that's what I think. It's a skill issue. El Capitan 22, a $10 super chat. Thank you, El Capitan. I appreciate that. If the Giants beat the Broncos, should they go for a receiver to be their number one this year and next till Neighbors gets back? Even if it's a re-sign situation like Chris Olave or Jakobi Meyers, I am not opposed to that. I'm frankly on board. If you can get the right piece and not give up too much, because there is still a scenario in which, like, even if you beat Denver, you come back down to earth a little bit and you win 7 games. Like, how early of that pick did you give up there? If it's the right value, I think it makes perfect sense. I think for the Cowboys side of it, or for the Giants, it's a Cowboys question coming. For the Giants side of it, can't overpay. But if you can get a option that's not just a 1-year solution, I do think that's a good idea for the Giants. So if I were New York, I would be searching around the wide receiver market. You got some great play out of Lil Jordan Humphrey against Philadelphia. I don't know if you want to lean on that every single game. Pancho Gons. Why does the Cowboys pass rush so bad? Their pass rushers are not Micah Parsons, but they did get sacks in the past. And all of those players got sacks in the past when there was a better player drawing attention away from them. Right now, you put your Cowboys defensive front four out there, and it's your best group of pass rushers. So it's Dante Fowler and James Houston and Oso Odigizua and Kenny Clark. Well, there's no one that inspires fear of the offensive line of, okay, we have to game plan on this guy. You never have to slide protect. You don't have to chip. You don't have to do any of that. It's just, we can go man-on-man with these guys, but it's not that big of a deal. If you have to chip on Fowler, well, that takes him out of the play because he's not a superstar edge. Micah gave the Cowboys gravity. He was a gravity player where he created his own orbit. There was his own little attention span paid to him, and it freed up more valuable one-on-ones on the other side. That has not been the case this year. If anything, they just double-team Osa, take away the best interior pass rusher. This group of edge rushers worked when they were the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, or even the 3, 4, 5 with Osa as the 2. Everyone gets bumped up a slot, and the efficiency drops as a result. Plus, they don't ever do stunts. It's stupid. Tater Tot, thoughts on Mike Tannenbaum suggesting Raiders trade Maxx Crosby to the Bucs for a 2nd and 4th rounder? Yeah, stupid for Vegas. Maxx Crosby's awesome. Watch a single game of Maxx Crosby. And so I mentioned the gravity from Micah Parsons. That man creates his own orbit too. He is an Iron Man. Never misses games. Never misses snaps. Frankly, great run defender, elite pass rusher. Raiders would be stupid to only get the 60th pick back and whatever in the hundreds. That's a horrible trade for Vegas. Haven't done this yet this year. I always enjoy it. Put your bad trades in the comments section of today's show. Feel free to trigger me in the comments with some bad trade ideas. From Melvin, who should the Falcons trade for during the trade deadline? The issue that the Falcons are gonna run into here is they don't really have a lot of viable draft capital to be sending around right now. Remember, they traded their 1st-round pick this upcoming year to move up to the Rams. They have their 2 and 3 and 4. That's great, but they're down their 5 as well. I do wonder how willing they're going to be to start moving around that 2nd and 3rd. If you can find another receiver option that could make some sense, then again, maybe Drake London and Kyle Pitts to an extent and Bijan Robinson are enough. Mooney's been a bit banged up, and even then it's Mooney and receiver 3 is the agglomeration of Casey Washington and McLeod and Hodge. It's just not, it doesn't really move the needle. I do want to monitor some of those O-line injuries. That might be a red flag for them as well. TV and sleep. Bills fire McDermott if they miss the playoffs or if they don't win a playoff game. Oof. He's been on the hot seat in the past. I'll throw this out there. If they fire him, I wonder if it would be to prevent a team from hiring away Joe Brady as the offensive coordinator. And I wonder if they go, we need to keep Joe Brady at all costs. That's when I can kind of say, okay, that one might actually make some sense. They've won a playoff game, though, for 5 straight years. And that's really hard to do. When you're 500 in the postseason, that actually means you're really good. But if it craters, I don't think it's going to crater this season. I can understand where you're coming from there. Now, if you have a trade idea that you want featured on our NFL mailbags, subscribe so you don't miss out. We got daily videos for you each and every single day. From Borat, very nice. Should the Lions be pairing a premier rusher with Hutchinson at the deadline? If they can get one, sure. I don't know if they're defined premier for me in the end. Like, I'm calling the Dolphins. Like, do they want to move Jalen Phillips or Bradley Chubb? Phillips might make a lot of sense for Detroit. Just like what they have, where you go find like a bigger bodied edge who you can kick inside on some third downs, because I don't love the interior rush on third downs. That actually might be a good idea for the Lions. Depends on who you can kind of find a way to acquire, but I do think the Lions should view themselves as contenders and go make a move for one of those players, sure.